Welcome into a new episode, I guess a new series here on No Man's Land channel. We are debating what's called the Courtroom. We're going to take all of your best tennis questions, highlights, hot topics, hot points, and we're going to debate them out amongst the three of us. That's what the Courtroom is going to look like in these little videos. We'll be clipping, putting on social media. The full videos, as always, find on our YouTube channel. Fred's going to keep getting them up there for all of us. That's awesome. Boys, Courtroom's going to be a great time. We figured nothing better than our first Courtroom episode than to start off with a little Davis Cup inspired Courtroom. So what this is going to look like, we decided to do is that we decided to each of us pick an all-time country for the best Davis Cup team that you could form for one individual country. We don't know which countries we picked going into this. We don't know who picked, what's going on. But we're going to go team by team and figure out who's got the best Davis Cup team of all time. Which country has the best Davis Cup team that's ever existed? Guys, I'm excited. Let's get this thing started. So
Cole, take us away.
I refuse to go first.
Cole refuses.
You're going first.
Why?
So we can get the crazy takes out of the way.
Oh, great. Okay. I'm going with Spain. I think they're 5th or 6th all time in most Davis Cups won. There's like a 3-way tie with their position. But my team is Juan Carlos Ferrero, Carlos Moya.
Okay, this is not where I already thought this was going to start off with the two first players. Are you saving the best for last?
Manuel Santana, David Ferrer, and Rafael Nadal.
Oh, thank God. Okay, you had me worried there for a second.
That's my team.
I mean, there's some good players in that team. I think there's an obvious miss out there. I don't know who you're playing at doubles.
Well, Santana's playing doubles with Nadal.
So you have Santana and Nadal playing doubles, but not Lopez and Nadal playing doubles.
No, Manuel Santana is 23-1 in doubles. Sorry, 23-11 in doubles.
About to say, I don't think that was right.
23-11 in doubles. I'm going to take that. Look, guys, I checked the records. I went to Granollers, didn't like what I saw. I went to Feliciano Lopez, didn't like what I saw. Went to Verdasco, didn't like what I saw. And what do you have to do? You got to pair your best doubles player. If you're lacking doubles depth, you got to pair your best player, the guy who's won the most Davis Cup matches in doubles and in singles for your country, Manuel Santana, and pair him with the best player, arguably, to ever play the game. That's Nadal.
Even with Nadal having to go out and rip 3 out of 5 sets of singles and then all of a sudden have to go play doubles again, back to back matches in the Davis Cup.
Well, Fred, we're not getting to the 5th. You're not getting to the 5th rubber.
Oh, you're winning first 2 singles.
Yeah, like that's a given.
That's just not a given.
Every guy on my team has been world number 1 other than David Ferrer, and he was 3. Like, I am littered with world number 1s.
And so is my team, and wait till we hear Keith's probably. Like,
I mean, yeah, but like I'm just backing my guys, just clay dogs.
You have some things going for you here, which is that Nadal's on like a 29 active win streak when it comes.
Yeah, he's
29 consecutive.
He's 29-1 and hasn't lost a match since 2004.
Yeah,
Davis Cup.
I think the one thing that doing research for this was that I didn't always look at the record. I know how weird that may sound as like an indicator of how good that player was, because in the Davis Cup, you've had years where top players don't play for their country and then other top players do. So guys like Lopez or Feliciano Lopez in this case shouldn't be playing one, but they're playing one because other people from their country don't play sometimes. But the Spanish team, that's a different team. Like, that's not what I was expecting to come out of you there, Coley boy. I'm not gonna lie.
What were you expecting?
Well, I think there's like 3 big dogs in this, and I'm curious to see if Fred's got the other one.
I mean, Cole, are you thinking this is played on hard court or clay courts?
That's a good point.
It's all court. I got all court players. I mean, Ferrer's got 27 titles in his career, and he won a Masters in Paris indoor hard. Like, we're good.
I don't think anybody thinks your team is bad. I think you're just missing the gravity of how other countries have like stacked lineups in terms of a tennis pedigree, where
Yeah,
Spain's a little bit more recent.
well, that's what I'm saying, right? Well, I haven't said it yet, but I mean, yeah, it's more of a condensed like 04 to 2018 viewpoint.
No, it is.
So and they've won. I think they won in 09, they won in 11, they won in 14, they won again in 19. So that's like boom, 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 boom. And I'm just saying that the new era tennis is better. My Spanish new era style of tennis and Davis Cup tennis is going to be very, very hard to beat.
Fair. Fred, I'm curious of what your team looks like or who you got.
Yeah, I was between two countries. And I'm assuming Keith maybe picked the one I didn't pick. But I took the USA.
All right, good. I'm safe.
Instead of Australia.
Oh,
Yeah. I was looking at Australia. I really wanted to do it, but I felt like, okay, somebody's got to do the US. And who better than Selenko hat wearing
Craig Boynton.
Boynton lookalike. Except no stash this week. But so with the US, I mean, start with the obvious. Pete Sampras.
Yeah.
Andre Agassi. John McEnroe.
Okay.
Andy Roddick. And then my last spot, it was tough because it feels like, how can I leave off the Bryan brothers?
That's what I was wondering.
How can I leave them off? But I have one more spot because between Sampras, Agassi, McEnroe, I can't leave any of them off.
No.
Roddick, I felt like I had to have. Just most recent US Slam champion, just a regular guy. Like you need someone in the locker room like that.
Did you feel like you needed Roddick to lose an inevitable like third set? Like, did you feel like you needed him to lose that inevitable third set, like 11-9 breaker kind of match? Is that what you needed just to keep the matches fun for you?
No, I feel like he would come in being fourth or fifth on this team instead of first on the team like he was his entire career.
I really like my matchups with Roddick.
Well, I don't know.
He's a third or fourth.
I don't know if Roddick's
head to heads.
I don't know if he's getting on the court, Cole. That's the thing. Like, I don't know if you know how the Davis Cup works, but there may be two guys that don't play.
I'm aware of how the Davis Cup works, Fred. Thank you.
I don't know. You're talking about Ferrer and this. It's like, I don't know if Ferrer's getting on the court for your team. It's like him and Roddick can go out on the dungeon court in Paris and they can have a little XO if they want.
That American team is slept on because I think a lot of people, just because of how boring Sampras was for his career, like he was boring, but he would just kind of kick everybody's ass. And if it's not on clay, Sampras is arguably the second best player that, based on my team, I think is maybe the second best player available. If it's not on clay, if it's on a fast hard court, and I don't think they really played on grass, but if it's on a hard court, Sampras is going to be tough to beat. And
then my last pick, I ended up going with Jimmy Connors. The guy, he just wins. He just wins. And I don't know. I feel like you just need a little bit of FU in the building.
Could you, because I think the thing is we have to say is that these teams are done with their prime, right? Could you imagine a prime hockey wig wearing Agassi, a prime bandana, like, tight shorts, little slim headband McEnroe cursing at the umpire, and then Jimmy Connors, who nobody liked, playing on the same team together for a Davis Cup? You better hope Craig Boynton's coaching that team.
Well, and they got cool, calm, and collected Pete Sampras just walking up and hitting 36 aces.
Who's the best server? Who's the best server on that team?
Yeah,
I think it's Sampras.
Sampras. Then probably Roddick.
Who do you have playing doubles? That's a curious. Who do you? Because I know who Cole's got playing doubles. Obviously, who do you have playing doubles? You can mix and match.
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of do like, I just don't know how like Sampras and Johnny Mac would even.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody could touch that. McEnroe's got 77 doubles titles, 9 slams, 7 World Tour finals and dubs.
Their records at these things are stupid. Like McEnroe's 59-10 overall in Davis Cup.
Yep.
Agassi's 30-6. Roddick, who is arguably, like you said, maybe your worst player on that team, is 33-12. it just McEnroe's one of like 9 guys, like part of like 9 people to win 4 Davis Cups. Like they just
Exactly. Agassi's won 3. 90, 92, 95. Yep. Roddick's won 1 in 07.
This was the team I was least looking forward to playing against, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
This is the team I did not like matching up against.
But I feel bad. I'm like, dude, the Bryan brothers, like how can they be left out? It's hard. But when you go to this format, you can't take 2 of the 5 spots with guys that aren't going to be able to step on the singles court, or arguably aren't going to be able to like mismatch and maybe pair up with someone else. So I was maybe going to pick one of them. It's like, okay, who do you take? It's like, do you need a lefty or a righty?
It's fun to do this because like I'm looking at this objectively thinking that Cole's going to win every first singles match, or I guess it's the second singles match because you roll out your best player in your second. But then who goes from there? Like who decides the other ones?
For my team?
No, I meant like that's where the matches are coming down to. I think you have the individual best player. Yep. I don't think it's a think, it's a no.
Yeah, Nadal.
It's Nadal. But then after that, that's where these things get tough. That's where the coaching gets tough. That's why Fred's talking about like, does he pull the Bryan brothers in, who are the most successful doubles pairing of all time? And do you sacrifice the ability to possibly win on a court 2, a best singles match, for the dominance you're going to have on that doubles court? I still think you made the right choice, Fred. That's the way I would have picked that team.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's like, I don't know, do you roll out Sampras in the first match and you put Agassi or Roddick and give them a go against Rafa?
Yep.
And then come up with your best doubles team to win the rubber.
That's exactly what I would do. That's fun.
I mean, you have to play Sampras against Nadal because Nadal has trouble with big servers.
No. That's what I was just saying right there. Was I think I'd put Sampras first,
guarantee
not against Nadal. So it's like a 95% chance he wins that match. Where you go against Nadal, I'm still taking Nadal 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I guess he's great. Just goes to show how good Nadal is. That he's that good.
And if you're gonna play him in the reverse singles anyway, they're gonna play anyway.
It's fun. I like this.
All right, Keith.
All right. Well, I did not go with the Aussies.
Wow. Okay.
And the reason being is because the Aussies and Americans are like 1-2 in terms of all-time Davis Cups. A lot of the Aussie wins were pre-1973, 1972, which is when the Davis Cup opened up to professional players. So I think kind of those records beforehand just not they don't count. It just doesn't mean as much just because you're just picking the best amateurs during that time. So I actually went with a team that peaked. Every player peaked by the time they were 26 years old on my team. And I went for the Swedish team, the all-time Swede team. And I'm going to just go in order in terms of my players. I went with the guy who retired at 25, playing one of the all-time matches against your boy John McEnroe, and that's Bjorn Borg, 11-time Grand Slam champion. Feel very good there. Then I'm going with the man that Andre Agassi said had the best hands he's ever played against, Stefan Edberg. Mats Wilander won his first career Grand Slam at 17. I'm going with Jonas Bjorkman, who's only second all-time behind the Bryan brothers in doubles championships and reached a career high 4 singles. And lastly, my alternative, Cole, this is why I'm so pumped you picked the Spanish team. I didn't know going into this. I took Robin Soderling. The only guy to beat Nadal in France at that point in his entire career. I took Soderling.
Yeah, that's a good bet. It's a good pick. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would still take Nadal on my Davis Cup matchup, but absolutely, it's a good pick. He's definitely got the resume.
How many Davis Cups has Sweden won?
Oh, that's a great question. I think they're second all time since 72 with 7 of them. So they've won 7 since 1972. So they're but I'm going through 72 because when teams went professional with it. And they're second all time behind the US. I think the US has 9 in that time span, and the Swedes have 7.
Okay.
Yeah. There wasn't a ton of overlap with a lot of these players, weirdly enough. Like a lot of times one of the big names would play and the other one wouldn't. So you get like Edberg playing one year and the next year you'd have Wilander, or you have Bjorkman playing for a long time. Like,
I wonder if it was like a cultural thing why they all kind of stopped really playing after the age of like 25, 26, 27.
yeah, I don't. That's an odd thing to think about with this because Borg obviously retired because he was kind of tired. He was done. And it was after I think he lost the U.S. Open to McEnroe in like 1981, right? He retired at 25 years old. He won the Channel Slam a number of times, which nobody's really done since. Uh, he did it. I think he did it 3 times now. Looking at it, that was weird. And I think a lot of the other guys, other than Edberg, they just won it kind of young. Like Vilander won young, so he kind of burned himself out by the time he was 25, 26 years old. And Soderling obviously got sick. He got like mono, right? And it kind of killed his career, which was weird. So that's why I think it's bad luck for our country.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's like if I were to look at a lot of other countries, I just don't think we could find a pattern like that that's happened in anywhere else. So I just wonder what the difference is. And then I feel like we haven't really had a great Swedish player in 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Soderling's the last really good one.
Yeah,
which I always thought.
You got the Ymer boys, but they haven't like really mainstayed in the top 100.
You can't even. Yeah, you
One's
can't even
retired.
put them in the same conversation. One of them's not even playing anymore.
One of them's retired now.
Yeah. No, I'm talking consistent top 20 player that hasn't existed. Soderling wasn't even a consistent top 20 player.
For a 3-year stretch, he was. I mean, I guess what you call consistent.
Yeah.
But I think we're taking all these guys at the peak of their powers.
Oh,
and
no,
the peak,
no,
Robin
for
Soderling
sure.
was quarterfinals, semifinals of Grand Slams.
No, I'm just scratching my head, like wondering, like why? Like you see these other countries have players that last a lot longer, and I just wonder why. What's in the water?
Well, I think it's different at that era too. I pick guys that are a little older outside of Soderling. I mean, look at Sampras retired at what, 31, 32? Agassi was like 34, 35, and he was like the old man. Like everybody's like, oh my God, look how old he is. But most of the guys that you have on your squad, like, what the hell? Roddick is the same age as Federer. Actually, I think he's a year younger than him and retired like 4 years before him. So I think it's just normal. I look at it a different standpoint, Freddie. I look at it as how the hell did a country like Sweden, which is an ice storm, find a way to get great tennis players consistently?
That's probably why they're so burnt out, because they can't go outside because it's so cold. You just gotta hit balls forever inside. That's the only thing they can do to stay warm.
Also, hard courts are worse on the body than a clay court, which a lot of Europeans play on clay, and maybe the Swedes play on less clay.
Yeah, a lot of carpet up there to do that, and then they have a ton of clay outdoors. But they're only outdoors for 4.5 months, 5 months of the year.
Yeah, exactly. The thing
it's got to be a culture thing, that why they're gotten so good at tennis, because there just isn't a lot of other sports that exist up there. Like, we're so unique in America because there's 50 sports that people gravitate towards, and they promote everything on TV and all this stuff. Like, you go to these other countries in Europe, like there's not just ESPN pumping out 15 different sports on I don't know, it's on a daily basis. And they're getting to see just tennis. Like, they don't even see really much golf over there. They're not seeing any basketball. There's no American football. It's like soccer, field hockey, ice hockey, tennis.
Yeah, and it depends on which geographic spot of Europe you're going to, because some spots might even, like England doesn't give a flying fuck about hockey. So,
no, they're a rugby country,
yeah,
right? Like, it's crazy, but they're sifting among 5 to 7 sports, where we're going between 25 and 27 sports.
Yeah, which is why you're seeing a downturn in maybe great American players. The thing I thought you guys were going to push me back on was the age of my team, what era they played in. Do you guys think that matters? Is like, because I'm gonna hear people in the comments going, Bjorn Borg wouldn't last 8 seconds in a match with Juan Carlos Ferrer.
I mean, if we're talking about just my team, yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I mean, Fred's got a younger team too, for the comparative to my team. Like Jonas Bjorkman may have been the guy who lasted longest on my team.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, your era isn't going to hold up to my era. But that's just because I picked all guys that are playing in the new era, and I think that their style of play is just way more physical than the guys in yesteryear.
I
It's
just
cool.
feel like
Go ahead. Go for it.
if you're that talented to have made it that far and have all these accolades playing with a plank, like you'd be able to figure it out. Go, and it's the same in reverse. I think Nadal would have been an equally great champion if he had played in the 70s and 80s. I think when you're just at that level, you find a way to win, and everything sort of continues to develop. It's like I know the athletes today are stronger, faster, more powerful, and the technology's changing, so they hit with more spin and all that stuff. I just think the older players would evolve with the times. Like if you put prime, I don't know, Borg in 2006, like I think he has a very similar career to what
But
he
he
had.
but he didn't though. That like he came back and tried to use a wood racket and it didn't work.
Yeah, when he was 35.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying like
I think
I don't know.
it's fair.
I don't know. I don't want to say it will or it won't, but I don't know. I think if Nadal played the same years that like Rod Laver played, like I don't know if he would be as good as Rod Laver because it's just completely different.
I think the thing that I always say with older athletes is that you can only judge them on the era they played in, obviously. But I think if you took Rod Laver differently to kind of maybe it's what Fred was saying too, and just made him born in 1991, I think then with all the modern technology, all the modern training, all those kind of stuff, he would be the equally great champion that he was in the 60s. Obviously, depending on who he's playing against, he could have Andy Murrayed his career, but we don't know that. Like, lost like 12 times in a final, but he would still be there. I think a lot of people are going to push back on that because I think on paper, like, you look at like who hits the ball the hardest. Cole, your team just absolutely destroys the ball.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing there, Keith. Like, I think if Nadal was born in 1952, like I think he has an equally great career. I just think when you have that grit and you're that much of a champion, you find a way. But I think it's hard because, like you're saying, Cole, like you can't envision Nadal with a wooden racket hitting flat. Like that doesn't exist because Nadal does this and flicks the ball up and hits more spin than anyone's ever hit on tour.
Yeah, I also look at it from the standpoint of, the golden era of tennis is closing now. It was from the time Federer started on tour to the time Djokovic will finish on tour, and everything that's happened in between there. I think that's how we see it. I mean, that's where the most titles are, the greatest champions are. And my Davis Cup team, other than Santana, falls within that. Fred, your Davis Cup team is sort of on the beginning stages of that. And Keith's is back in
20
the
years
80s,
prior.
70s and 80s.
It's 70s, 80s. I got some guys in the 90s and early 2000s. Don't go shitting on Soderlund and Bjorkman.
Soderling, the same guy that was picking his ass at Wimbledon.
Yeah, that's still the best clip in the history of playing Nadal. That was still phenomenal. I would kill to watch that in a Davis Cup atmosphere. That match. I don't know that's who I'd play against Nadal, but I would just love to see that.
Yeah, when you're talking about lineups, like that's a hard one. Like I think about who I would roll out there. Like I'd have to roll Nadal out there twice in singles. And then I might God, it's hard.
Twice in singles.
You
What
mean
the
once
heck
in
does that
singles,
mean?
once in doubles. You can't play him in both
Oh
singles, one
yeah,
and singles
I'm
two.
thinking of the reverse. My bad.
Just one singular match.
Yeah, I know.
What's the reverse? I'm very curious what that is.
That's happened, I think. Has it not?
That's for
Where
ties, I think.
Yeah, where it's 5 matches total. And it's not just 3 matches, it's 5 total. That's for sure a thing. Cause like I've gone through the history here and I've seen like Ferrer and Nadal, and then they play a doubles match, and then they play Ferrer's or Nadal's the next match, and then Ferrer. It's been 5 total matches.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think we're just talking one singular match, 2 singles, doubles, who wins.
Oh, it's tough.
That's where this is fun. I mean, Cole, I did not think you were going to go with the Spanish team. really didn't think you're going to go there, but it's hard to
What did you
disagree
think I
with
was going to pick? France?
I thought you were going to go France or US. I honestly, that's what I thought.
No, I just think France. I just think this era of Spanish tennis was unbelievable.
It's fair. Or I thought maybe you were going to go hybrid and go Switzerland and take Wawrinka and
And if we
Federer.
if we roll, yeah, I know. If we roll through some of these years, like I haven't even really talked about Carlos Moya, but like he had a year in 03 where he didn't lose a single match in Davis Cup, and he beat Melise, Lubicic, Gaudio, Zabaleta, Argentina, and then Mark Philippoussis in the final. And then in 04 he beat Fish and Roddick in the final. And then we have Ferrer in 09 who didn't lose a match in Davis Cup, went 6-0. Nadal went 6-0 in 11 and in 19. And Ferrer, just something about Ferrer. He's won like 2 or 3 matches in Davis Cup, like 8-6. He beat Roddick 8-6 in the 5th to help send them to the final in 08. And then he beat he won, I forget who he played, but he beat Djokovic in 09, 3-3 and 6. Beat Troitsky 0-3.
What happens to Ferrer when he plays an all-time great, though, Coley boy? What's going to happen when he faces off against Borg or Stefan Edberg?
Is Djokovic not an all-time great?
He's going to fold like a cheap lawn chair, baby.
He loves a 5th set. I'm just saying, 8-6 in the 5th, 8-6 again. I mean, and he beat Delpo in 5, beat Roddick and Fish. I mean, the guy's just he's 28-5 all time in Davis Cup. Something about him when he plays for his country. Like it's the number 2 spot that I don't know what I'm gonna do. Am I gonna play Moya and Ferrer? I don't or Ferrer. I don't know. Because Santana's got to play in the doubles.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard.
All right, boys. I think that's a wrap up on our first courtroom. Welcome in. Check us out on social medias. We'll be clipping this live for you guys. Meanwhile, as always, debate with your friends. Leave comments on who you think has the best team. I think it's me. We're going to leave with that. Thanks for joining us.